38 football seasons is probably like dog years, probably 80 years of work, you know, when it's all said. I mean, think about it, when it's all said and done. I mean, I'm not bragging. I've been in the office as early as 2:30 in the morning on Mondays and Tuesdays. That's just the way I operate. So the bottom line is I feel very good about the fact that I am retiring. I told Mark that I would do it on his terms, when he wanted me to do it, whether it was after recruiting, where he wanted to do it. I wanted to make sure that Mark Helfrich and this program moving forward was still the way Mark wanted it to be. We had a couple of talks prior to coming here, and at that time we didn't have a plan. Word gets out sometimes, you know, it's kind of rumors and things and innuendo, however you want to look at it, gets out and things start buzzing. And so I think maybe what was really important to me, what I told Mark, what was really important to me, that for having done this so long and feeling like, and I do feel this way, whether you do or not, that's your judgment, integrity, having done this with integrity and honestly in the right way, and treat the kids the right way has always been important to me. I felt like I needed to tell my assistants. I said, Mark, as long as I could talk to my assistant coaches and the team, specifically the defensive team, before it gets out there, that's all I care about. And yesterday when we were talking, he felt like that today was the best day. Without arguing with the head coach, I really didn't want to do that because I didn't want to bring attention to me. But at the same time, I told him I would honor and do whatever he wanted, and therefore, we did.
What did you tell your family Thursday night?
No, when did I tell them that I was going to do this?
When I was going to announce it?
Yeah. Or just, did they know?
Oh, they've known all along. Yeah, my family, this is a true story. If I go get my briefcase, I could show you the turf. This is not something I made up. I only stayed because I thought it was the right thing to do. I'm not trying to be a martyr on that. I just thought it was the right thing to do with Chip leaving and recruiting maybe going helter-skelter. And I mean, I'm an Oregon guy. I've coached there in 5 decades. I wanted to do the right thing by Mark. I also want to do the right thing by me, let's face it. But probably in a perfect world, if I was really selfish, I wouldn't have coached this year. Usually you're not supposed to do things. You're supposed to, look at number one. And again, I'm being so honest with you that I don't want this to be misconstrued. I felt like it would be for the betterment of the program if I stayed with Mark. So we had a defensive coordinator intact. There was no change. He didn't have to worry about that side of the ball, and recruiting wouldn't go crazy. I think when I was younger, Jason, it bothered me. I had opportunities, and I didn't jump on the smaller jobs at the time, the San Jose States, the UC Davises, those kinds of things. In retrospect, it might have been, because if you took that job 20 years ago, you never know where that would have taken you. So I won't say there's regret, but there's, it would have been nice to try that and lead your own team, have your own guys. But I didn't choose to go that route. And at the end of the day, I sit here feeling, and I'm sure after the game, and when I sit back, it's been a pretty good career. It's been a pretty good ride. I've been able to coach in a lot of big games, a lot of BCS games, a national championship game. It's been a great ride. It really has. And again, I just thought it was, like I said, it was time a year ago. I didn't coach any easier or any less. I didn't change. In fact, I don't think anybody even knew. But I was ready a year ago, and I was most definitely ready this year because, as I always get long-winded, I'm going to be 60. I always said I wanted, at 60, that was the cutoff for me. There's got to be some life for Catherine and I, and there's other things that, you don't know. You get to 60, but you don't know what's on the other end of 60. Is it 70? Is it 75? Is it 80? How many good years do you have? So the bottom line was it came down to family and lifestyle. And I've always been a family guy, so that won out.
Do you have any recommendations for the job?
What was
If Mark asks me, I do. But I'll leave it at that. If Mark asks me, I'll answer it.
How did your players react when you told them?
I got a lot of hugs, and a lot of congratulations, and a lot of thank you coaches, which made it really tough on me. I've spoken in front of groups a lot of times, and I think that was might have been the toughest 2-minute speech, if you will, that I've ever given. I'm not sure what I really said. I'm not sure, when you kind of have this out-of-body experience, I'm not sure what I really said. I don't know how it feels to say you're retiring. I don't know how it feels to be retired. It's all new. I didn't know how this was going to play out. Like I said, and I don't want to go against Mark and Rob's will. Perfectly clear it was a retirement. Perfectly clear it was my decision. Perfectly clear it was going to be a year ago. Perfectly clear I stayed to help Mark. And what wasn't perfectly clear is that I probably didn't really want to do it today because I did not want this to be what's happening now. I didn't want that to happen. But it is. And I really didn't want that to happen. Because the game's bigger than me, and I appreciate you guys being so kind and want to know, but I really didn't want that to happen. But I wanted to follow Mark's wishes.
Did you cry when you told the team? Did you get emotional?
I cried when I told my defensive staff, and if I had talked 30 seconds longer, I would have probably cried in front of the team. It was pretty short and sweet. I think Rob put something out, but basically I said that after 38 years, I've decided to retire. I've done this since 1975. It was something I was going to do a year ago, but I decided, the things I've already told you, and then I went on to say that, make it perfectly clear, young men, I'm not resigning, I'm retiring, and it's a great feeling to be able to retire on your own terms. And I'm not leaving Oregon. I'm still a Duck. Most of my career has been at Oregon as a Duck. I'm still a Duck. This is not a win-win for the Gipper speech, but let's do this together one more time and remember why we're here. It's to win the Alamo Bowl. And then I got a break, and that was it.
In your 38 years, did you ever get emotional in front of your team?
All the time. Oh, yeah.
What type of things would you really?
I've shown them as I got older. Should I cry at Lassie? If that gives you an example. As you get older and you get kids grow up and you get grandchildren and you see life, these kids are just, it's hard to describe. The most important thing to me, and the way our profession is now, you're judged on wins and losses. But at the end of the day, it's will you be missed and how you will be remembered. Did you make an impact on somebody's life? I'd like to think that I have. I don't know how many I have, but I'd like to think that I have. And at the end of the day, that's what's the most important thing.
You have been criticized at times by fans. So, did that bother you, or were you insulated?
I'm human. I don't read a lot of things. I don't see, is it Twitter? I don't see Twitter. I don't see blogs. I don't really, I'm insulated. I don't really look at any of that stuff. So I don't really know what they're saying. But we're all human. I always had a saying that whatever people are saying about me is none of my business.
Are you worried at all what your life would be like without coaching?
No, not at all.
How come?
because I was totally ready for this. And as long as I can support my wife and I think I'll be okay. I was, like I said, I think when you're ready for something a year ago, and then you, again, I didn't coach any less or any easier. Ask these kids, they had no idea. I had to keep this a secret for a year, not telling my staff, Mark knew, but when I told him the first time, he said, "We'll see," meaning when I told him a year ago, he said, "We'll see." Maybe that I'd love it that much and stay, but I put a lot of hours into this thing. Again, I'm not bragging. I don't know. I will say this. I don't think anybody works harder than me. They might work the same, but they won't work harder. Because when you're in that office at 3 in the morning on Mondays and Tuesdays, that's pretty early. That doesn't guarantee wins. And I don't know how you guys take any of that stuff. You guys have all been pretty good to me. There's always going to be criticism. You know, even this announcement, there's going to be. I love the old coach that used to say, when he was splitting up a team, he'd say, half you over there, the other half over there, and the rest of you come with me. Well, okay, you get it. My point is there's going to probably be, just like the president, a third of the people are going to be sad, a third of the people are going to be happy, and probably a third of the people don't really care.
Nick, did you want this job? Chip left.
I did, but I'm not sure I really did. I watch what head coaches go through and what my strength is, even though I think I could be a head coach because I think I can lead men. I think the bottom line was what I do best, contrary to what most people might believe, is I like the X's and O's, and I like being with the kids, and I like rolling up my sleeves, and I like the coaching, and that's what I like. That's what I enjoy. I'm not a politician, as you guys have found out. I'm not a real schmoozer, and I can use other choice words. I'm not a brown noser. I am who I am. I say what I feel. Sometimes people don't like it. But at the end of the day, Jason and everybody, I've always been able to look myself in the mirror and feel good about what I tried to do, whether it was coaching, what I tried to do, whether it was teaching the young men off the field, because there's more to it than just whether I was trying to correct the guy about being 5 minutes early and why it's important to be on time and why you return a message text to say that I'm going to be late, whatever that is. At the end of the day, I was always able to look in the mirror, and that's the guy I had to please the most. You know, it's the critics, if I can look in the mirror and feel good about me, and I think for the most part I have, and there's been days when I didn't like Nick, but for the most part I've been able to, and so I feel good. At the end of the day, I feel good about that. You know, and I love the guy, I think it's Teddy Roosevelt, the one about the guy, man in the arena. I think it's Teddy Roosevelt. I'm not sure. It's one of my greatest. You know, you read that and it's awesome.
You talked about going out on your own terms and seeing what head coaches go through. Did you look at a situation like what Mac Brown went through this year and kind of say, is that what you're talking about, like not having to go through something like that?
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, yeah. I mean, I felt bad for Mac Brown. Mac Brown doesn't want me to feel bad for him, but I felt bad for Mac Brown. I mean, the guy gave 16 years of his life here to Texas, and I know, I better not say what I was going to say, but football in Texas is, I think you know what I'm saying. But, you know, it was tough for him, I think. I didn't like the way that was handled, and that's just my opinion.
Nick, what do you hope people remember about your defense's trait?
That we played hard. And that we never gave up. You know, I don't look at the stats.
Yeah, you do.
I know what they are. I will say this, if you looked at yards per play, we're probably in the top 10 in the country. Are we 9? Yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty good defense. And last year we led the country in turnovers. We've done some good things. What's been good is the wins. You know, we've won a lot of games. You're asking me questions that I just, you know, I've been a defense coordinator for 18 years, and that comes down to averaging over 9 wins a season. I would challenge anybody to be a defense coordinator anywhere and have that same record. And I think 13 out of those 18 have been 9 or more wins. And mostly at one place with different people and different kids. So I'm not bragging, you're asking me. I'm proud of that. You know, I'm proud of that.